I had a secret 5-year affair with the female CEO of the company, Olivia Clark. On the surface, I was her most capable assistant, but in private, I was her lover in the bedroom. She had promised that once the time was right, she would make our relationship public and promised she would marry no one else but me. But later, I saw with my own eyes as she walked down the aisle in a wedding dress, running toward another man who looked strikingly similar to me. The two of them appeared hand in front of everyone, and to me, she merely said, "Caleb Morgan may be just a stand-in, but he has been very helpful to me at work. There's no need to rush him out." I didn't cry or make a scene. I turned around and called my father. "I'm ready to take over the company, and I agree with the arranged marriage." The merger between the Morgan family and the Hall family caused a stir in the business world. But when Olivia Clark saw the face of the groom on the wedding invitation, she broke down. After hanging up the video call with my family, the arranged marriage was almost finalized. Both families were very satisfied, and it seemed like it would be a good match. I sighed in relief, bought a plane ticket for the next flight back home, and was packing my things when I heard a knock on the door. Olivia Clark had a key, but she never used it. She always liked knocking and waiting for me to open the door. As soon as I opened it, she would throw herself into my arms. In the past, whenever Olivia Clark rushed into my arms, I would always hold her steadily, spin her around, and gently place her back on the ground. I cherished her, adored her, and spoiled her. Today, however, the knock sounded particularly harsh. I was feeling restless as I closed the suitcase. It wasn't worth it to argue with her today. Anyway, I was about to leave for good. Thinking this, I opened the door. But instead of the familiar fragrance of Olivia Clark, I saw her and that man. "Why did it take you so long to open the door? Olivia is drunk and feeling unwell. Don't you have some common sense?" That man looked like the head of the house, and I felt more like a servant, or even less. "Today we're celebrating. Olivia is too happy. She drank too much," the man went on unnecessarily. The last time I had only seen that man from a distance, but this time up close, I felt even colder. That man's features were almost identical to mine. The same single eyelid, thin lips, and even the curve of his smile was the same. It turned out that I was nothing but a ridiculous stand-in. Julian Rhodes's, "Julian, don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm thirsty." "Drunk," Olivia Clark mumbled. Julian Rhodes got up, poured a glass of water, and as he walked past me, I smelled a strong lavender scent. Olivia Clark had a sensitive nose and couldn't stand such overwhelming perfumes. She liked men who smelled fresh and clean, with only a faint scent of laundry soap. To meet her preference, I put away all the different perfumes I collected, hand-washed all my clothes to maintain the freshest and simplest scent to find the right fragrance she liked. I tested every type of laundry powder until I became allergic, and broke out, but she didn't stop. It was only when I saw Julian Rhodes's up close that I understood. Olivia Clark's preferences were simply Julian Rhodes's habits, and I, like a loyal puppy, was molded into the image of Julian Rhodes's, his shadow, his stand-in. After feeding the drunken Olivia Clark the water, Julian Rhodes casually played with the cup in his hand. "You must be Caleb, right? Olivia talks about you all the time. You're a great assistant, right? You're really good at your job, and it seems like you take good care of her, too. I really should thank you. Otherwise, Olivia would be so lonely without me." Julian Rhodes's words only served to degrade me further. In his eyes, I was nothing more than Olivia Clark's toy to pass the time when he wasn't around. I had never really received any love. Julian Rhodes seemed to be afraid that I wouldn't understand, so he kept adding insults. "By the way, Caleb, your taste and mine are quite similar. The decoration in your house, your style, it's almost the same as mine. Your figure, your looks, especially your face. Oh, if I didn't know better, I'd think Olivia found a counterfeit version of me." I was speechless. Even though I had already decided to leave and was deeply disappointed, I couldn't just let him walk all over me. "Is that so? This is my home with Olivia Clark, and are you her driver? Thanks for delivering her, but you can go now. I'll give you a tip tomorrow." I thought I had scored a point, but the drunken Olivia Clark got up and threw herself into his arms. "Caleb Morgan, what are you doing? Can't you understand? This is just for show. Why are you so jealous? You dare to kick him out? You try." Olivia Clark slurred her words, but she was completely protecting Julian Rhodes's. What could I say? This farce was now official. Julian Rhodes's walked toward me, full of smug satisfaction, and sneered, "See? I'm not leaving. Olivia can't live without me. Tonight, I'll sleep in the master bedroom. You'll have to make do. I'll take care of her. By the way, I heard that Olivia never lets you into the study in the master bedroom. Can you guess what's inside?" After saying this, Julian Rhodes helped Olivia Clark back to the room. I knew about that study. I had tried all possible passwords or our birthdays, every significant date, but they were all wrong. Once, Olivia Clark caught me trying to get in. That was the first time she cursed at me and gave me the silent treatment for a whole week. Now everything was clear. but it didn't matter anymore. I was leaving soon, after all. I spent the night in the guest room. Sunlight filtered through the cracks in the curtains and fell on the side of my bed, bringing a hint of warmth, but it couldn't dispel the chill in my heart. Olivia Clark stood quietly by my bed. Her face showed a trace of unease, as if she wanted to explain something. "You might have misunderstood what happened last night. Julian Rhodes isn't I. It's just for show. Those people were just making a fuss. We're not just in this kind of relationship. We're also work partners. If we got married, people would gossip. He's just a decoy." I quietly listened, but my gaze never left the ceiling. "So, are you going to marry him?" My heart felt like a dead lake with no ripples at all. I had once overheard her on a video call with someone joking about how Julian Rhodes is the real deal, had returned and proposed to her. She was asking how to get rid of me. Olivia Clark had answered nonchalantly, "He's just a stand-in, but still somewhat useful. I won't completely get rid of him for now." Her tone was cold, but it wasn't like this in the beginning. "My family has a company that I'm set to inherit, and I came here to hone my skills." One day after work, I happened to run into her. She was wearing high heels, but one of the heels had broken, and she stood there, helpless. At that moment, I felt, inexplicably, soft. I helped her buy new shoes and patiently taught her how to massage her feet to relieve fatigue. From then on, our relationship gradually warmed up. Her smile and her gentleness deeply attracted me. However, all of this beautiful feeling shattered the moment I saw her walking down the aisle in a wedding dress, heading toward Julian Rhodes's. I had fantasized countless times about us walking into marriage together and spending our lives together, but the reality was so cruel. I was just a stand-in, never her public lover. Olivia Clark seemed impatient. "I've already explained it clearly. Stop making a scene." "Okay." Finally, I looked at her. "Is that so? You're just putting on a show." "Can I see the study?" Olivia Clark turned red, then pale, and Julian Rhodes pushed the door open. He was wearing an outfit that clearly belonged to me and had a playful smile on his face. He spoke softly, as though it was all planned out. "Olivia, you're up so early. I thought you'd gone somewhere. Are you feeling better?" "Caleb, you're awake, too. I borrowed your clothes. It seems our styles are quite similar. The sizes match. What a coincidence." Olivia Clark, standing to the side, seemed to not notice the subtle change between us. She indulged Julian Rhodes's teasing and tried to smooth over the awkwardness with her usual gentleness. "Did I wake you? Go back to sleep for a while. Yesterday, Caleb Morgan didn't know better, but he didn't say anything, right? Don't let it affect your mood." Upon hearing this, my heart completely froze. So, in their eyes, I had become the one who didn't understand. I realized that this relationship was a joke from the very beginning, and I was nothing more than a diluted fool. I took a deep breath, wanted to break up with her, but I knew very well that I had no status here anymore. Breaking up was just a pointless gesture. I slammed the door and went to the company. Sitting quietly at my desk, I began to pack up the memories that belonged to us. Those photos, documents, the moments that once made us laugh and feel touched. I carefully organized them, then placed them in a box. It was as if I was sealing away a part of the past, as if bidding farewell to the person I once was. As I was packing my personal belongings from my desk, Olivia Clark and Julian Rhodes, the two people I least wanted to see, barged into my office. They both wore expressions of inexplicable anger, as if I had done something unforgivable. "No wonder you left in such a hurry this morning. Turns out you stole something and were planning to run away." Julian Rhodes took the first shot, raising his hand to accuse me. Olivia Clark, who had seemed a bit confused at first, now seemed certain. "Caleb Morgan, I thought you were just clueless, but I didn't expect you to be dishonest, too." Julian Rhodes's voice was filled with accusation, as though he had already gathered irrefutable evidence. I completely didn't understand. "What are you talking about? I stole something." I looked at them in disbelief. "Yes, my confidential documents are missing. You must have taken them." Julian Rhodes's tone was unquestionable, as if I had already been sentenced. I looked around and saw that everyone in the company had gathered around. Some were curious, some sympathetic, and others indifferent, all watching the scene unfold. I knew that in their eyes, I had probably already become the traitor to the company and the thief who stole confidential files. And all of this was because of Olivia Clark, the woman I once loved, and her fiancé Julian Rhodes. Olivia Clark stood to the side, her face filled with complex emotions. "So, how do you explain packing up your things? Where are you going? You've really disappointed me. That file is very important to Julian Rhodes. Don't make a scene." I looked at her like she was crazy and grabbed my box, ready to leave. "Stop being paranoid. I don't have time to play these games with you." Olivia Clark frowned as she saw I wasn't listening to her. "What are you doing? Don't embarrass me in front of so many people. Don't go too far." Julian Rhodes was still shouting. "We can't let him get away. He stole my stuff." Olivia Clark seemed to hesitate for a moment, but in the end, she called security. They roughly grabbed my arm, forced me down onto the desk, and began searching me. I struggled, trying to maintain some last shred of dignity. But it was futile. Olivia Clark told me not to embarrass her. But now I was the one being humiliated and wronged, and she didn't hesitate to believe Julian Rodas' words. She placed the blame for something I knew nothing about squarely on my shoulders. They stripped off my shirt, exposing me completely to the crowd. In that moment, I felt as if the entire world had abandoned me. The security guards exchanged glances. There was nothing on me, no confidential file. I knew in that moment I had completely lost everything here. I told you I didn't take it. I stubbornly refused to back down. Olivia Clark didn't believe me. How could that be? It was just the three of us in the room. Yesterday, did you hide it? If you take it out now, there's still a chance. Don't make me angry. Olivia Clark kept threatening me. Oh, I remember now. I left the file in the car. At just the right moment, Julian Rodas clapped his hands and seemed to realize something. He casually said it as if everything was just part of a farce. I looked at the file in his hands, and a wave of indescribable anger and humiliation surged within me. He had so easily destroyed my reputation and dignity, and the people around us were just watching me as a joke, as though I was a puppet they could manipulate. Olivia Clark's face showed a moment of shock. Maybe she regretted it. Maybe she felt guilty, but all she did was give me one look. At least we found it. My love and my self-respect were all crushed beneath their feet. This event felt like an absurd farce, ending in a way I had never expected. Olivia Clark never once apologized to me. Her silence was more hurtful than any words could have been. For the next 2 days after this incident, she didn't come home. Fine, that gave me enough time to pack up everything. The day I was scheduled to leave, I was finally going to walk out of Olivia Clark's world for good. In the waiting room at the airport, I received a message from Julian Rodas. The messages were filled with provocation and bragging, as if their indulgence was a declaration of victory over me. I didn't need him to remind me. I already knew they had been together these past few days. Caleb, Olivia's been with me lately. I've been taking good care of her. You don't need to worry. Olivia is still as clingy as before. She said the stand-in can't compare to me at all. I heard you like this position, too. Seems like we really are alike. He sent me photos, one after another, intimate embraces, tender gazes, and even torn lingerie photos. I remained indifferent. I blocked his number. The moment the plane took off, I watched the city's outline grow smaller from the window. I knew I was leaving an old world behind and stepping into a new beginning. When I got home, my family gave me the warmest welcome. They seemed unaware of what I had been through outside. They were just happily preparing the details for the arranged marriage. The marriage between the Morgan and Hall families was undoubtedly sensational news, shaking up the entire business world and making my name the center of attention once again. The wedding invitations were sent out, and high-ranking company officials were going to attend, including Olivia Clark. The day she received the invitation, she was hanging out with some friends, and Julian Rodas. Caleb Morgan. That name sounds familiar. Who is he? I know. He's the capable assistant who was always by President Clark's side. Capable assistant. I think he was just her plaything. Probably just Julian's stand-in. President Clark was just playing around. Some people, in the know, began to tease Olivia Clark and Julian Rodas. Julian Rodas seemed to enjoy their comments, sitting up straighter and pulling Olivia Clark into his arms. Before, Caleb Morgan looked like a total puppy dog. Olivia didn't even want to talk to him. But now it seems like he's a better match. For Julian, they kept laughing, but Olivia Clark had an ominous premonition. It seemed like he hadn't contacted her in a while. The last incident was her being impulsive, but it didn't matter. She felt it was time to teach him a lesson so he wouldn't get too arrogant. Just wait a while, and I'll make sure to comfort him, Olivia Clark thought to herself, making the whole situation seem simple. In the crowd, someone said, well, it's true that the two Caleb Morgans share the same name. But one is a big-shot heir in the industry, marrying the Hall family's precious daughter, and the other is just a puppy dog standing. Olivia Clark's hand trembled. Could there really be such a coincidence? At that moment, I sent her the digital wedding invitation and immediately blocked and deleted her contact. Olivia Clark hesitated, opening her phone and shakily clicking the link. On the wedding invitation's photo, one of the brides was Chloe Hall, the daughter of the Hall family, and the man beside her was unmistakably me. The phone dropped to the floor with a loud thud. After returning to Haichun, I immediately started preparing for the wedding. With just a few days left before the big day, there were still so many things to take care of. Rehearsals, venue decorations, invitations to guests. So much to do. For the past few days, I had been running around non-stop. Although my parents and family had helped a lot, there was still a mountain of things to handle. Still, it felt far less intense than what I was used to. At the company, I even found myself feeling a bit relaxed and at ease. But despite how busy I was, Chloe Hall, the other main figure in this wedding, hadn't shown up yet. I was about to marry her, but aside from her name, I knew nothing about her. I asked my parents, but they just gave me sly grins and refused to tell me anything. On the night before the wedding, after finishing the final preparations, I collapsed into a chair. Just then, a pair of hands pressed onto my shoulders. "Caleb, how's it going? You've been working so hard these past few days. You just got back to Haichin and haven't had a chance to rest. Yet you're busy with wedding preparations." My mom smiled at me with concern, her hands gently pressing down on my shoulders. The ache in my shoulders slowly started to ease. "Mom, I'm fine. Marriage is a big deal. I don't want my wedding to be a mess. Besides, it's not that exhausting. It's definitely better than what I used to do with the company. If I were at work right now, I'd probably still be drinking with clients," I joked. As she heard me speak, my mom's hand pressure increased, and the comfort spread from my shoulders down to my back and waist. She sighed and spoke softly to me. "I used to think Olivia Clark would take good care of you, but it turns out all she's done is exploit you. Did she ever treat you like a real boyfriend? I thought she was fine before, so I trusted you with her. But if I had known things would turn out this way, I would have never let you go to her. You've had a tough time lately. Go lay down. I'll give you a good massage." My mom's massage skills were taught to her by a traditional Chinese medicine master, and they were so soothing that I couldn't say a word. I've been enjoying her massages since I was a kid, and I've even learned a few tricks from her. When I was with Olivia Clark, she often complained about back and neck pain. Seeing her suffer, I would use what I'd learned to give her simple massages, almost every day for 5 years. But during those 5 years, she never once gave me a massage. Then again, I was just Julian Rhodes' stand-in. She had to save all her love for him, so there was no room for me. I relaxed under my mom's soothing massage, and my chaotic thoughts slowly began to calm. Surrounded by my parents, I felt like I was still that carefree child. Years of exhaustion slowly dissolved under my mom's hands, and before I knew it, I had drifted into a deep sleep. The next morning, I got up, dressed, and looked at myself in the mirror, smiling. How long had it been since I'd seen myself so full of vigor? A full, peaceful night's sleep had given me plenty of energy for the day. I grabbed everything I'd need for the ceremony and got into the car, heading straight for the Hall family estate. The Hall family didn't make things difficult for me. After I gave the bridesmaids some red envelopes, they let me in. The moment the door opened, I froze. In place, Chloe Hall was sitting on the bed wearing a bright red wedding dress. The sunlight streamed in through the window, casting a golden glow on her, making her shine like a goddess. Even though her face was still covered by the veil, the elegance and poise in her posture, as well as her unmistakable beauty, shone through. I stood there, stunned, staring at the majestic, regal bride in front of me. For a moment, I was lost in thought. Finally, with the help of others, I managed to get her into the car. The convoy slowly moved through the streets of Haichanging, and the whole city seemed to be celebrating our marriage. No one dared to cause trouble at such a high-profile wedding between the two biggest families in Haiseeing. As I continued to watch Chloe Hall, lost in thought, the convoy suddenly came to a halt. Then, a familiar female voice reached my ears. "Today, I'm here, and I won't let him marry another woman. It's Olivia Clark." I looked through the car window at Olivia Clark standing in front of the convoy in her gown. I furrowed my brows, I turned to Chloe Hall and said, "I'll handle this right away. Please, wait here." Then I got out of the car. I walked straight toward Olivia Clark, and she saw me, her face breaking into a smile. "Caleb, I knew you wouldn't give up on me. You promised me you wouldn't marry anyone else, right? You won't marry anyone else, will you?" She pulled out a bouquet of red roses from behind her and held it out to me, gazing at me with deep affection. "Caleb, come back with me. I'll treat you the same way I did before. Caleb, come with me." Before I could say anything, a sweet and clear voice came from behind me. "Miss Olivia Clark, is this how you try to steal a groom? Aren't you a little lacking in sincerity? Caleb's favorite flowers are clearly magnolia, not red roses. After 5 years with him, you still don't know that." Olivia Clark, who had been so confident a moment ago, suddenly became flustered. The bouquet of red roses in her hands now felt awkward, neither something she could throw away nor hold. I heard a car door open behind me, and that pleasant voice drew closer. "Miss Olivia Clark, I can smell you from this far away. Caleb, being so close to you, I'm sure his nose can't take it." A one-time use mask was slapped onto my shoulder by a hand adorned with exquisite jewelry, and the voice finally rang in my ears. "Miss Olivia Clark, is this how you've treated Caleb Morgan over the past 5 years?" I turned to see who had spoken, and once again, I froze. There, standing like a celestial goddess in a bright red wedding gown, was Chloe Hall. Her figure shone so brilliantly that even the sparkling jewels she wore seemed dim in comparison. Finally, I saw her face, so beautiful it almost took my breath away. I completely forgot about the itchy, swollen tip of my nose. The faint scent that wafted from her was enough to intoxicate me completely. Chloe Hall seemed to notice how mesmerized I was, and she smiled with confidence. Then she turned to Olivia Clark and continued speaking. Miss Olivia Clark, I advise you to leave now. Otherwise, you'll only embarrass yourself. Olivia Clark frowned, seemingly realizing she couldn't win against Chloe Hall. She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears, as if they were about to burst forth. They spoke of pleading and pity. If this had been before, I would have pulled her into my arms, trying to comfort her with everything I had. I loved her so much back then. Every time she looked like this, I would agree to anything, no matter how difficult or outrageous the request. But now I was completely disillusioned with her. She just seemed so pretentious. I spoke up. Olivia Clark, we have no relationship anymore. I'm just your employee. Why do you think I can't marry someone else? You've wholeheartedly loved Julian Rhodes. Isn't that enough? Why are you still looking for me? Do you want me to be your lover? I'm not that kind of person. Olivia Clark stood there, dazed, unable to believe what she was hearing. She probably never imagined that the person who used to revolve around her life would be better off without her. I waved my hand, signaling the bodyguards to move Olivia Clark out of the way. Then I turned and started walking toward the wedding car. Just as I took a step, Chloe Hall suddenly wrapped her arm around mine. Her soft touch pressed closely against me. I felt a little nervous as this was our first time meeting. I looked down at her, and Chloe Hall raised her head, whispering to me, "It's okay. We're husband and wife. What's the harm in a little arm holding? Besides, don't you want to make that woman even more upset?" She mischievously smiled and then turned to glance back at Olivia Clark, nudging her chin. I followed her gaze. Indeed, Olivia Clark's expression was now one of pure anger and regret. I smiled even more broadly and strode toward the wedding car. Soon after, the wedding ended, and Chloe Hall and I officially got our marriage certificate. Our two families also merged their businesses, which were now under our joint control. I transformed from a small employee into the chairman of the company. Chloe Hall and I began to get closer. Though we had only known each other for a short time, she had already remembered all my likes and dislikes. She knew I liked magnolia and planted one in our garden while it was being renovated. She knew I liked to drink a glass of wine when I was deep in thought, so she made sure to include a wine cabinet in the study. She even learned massage techniques from my mom because she knew my shoulders and neck were often sore from years of work. She wanted to be able to relieve my pain in case of emergencies. There were countless things like this. Within just a month, Chloe Hall's presence was in every corner of my life. Something I never felt with Olivia Clark, even after 5 years. Perhaps this is what it truly means to love someone. My relationship with Chloe Hall continued to grow stronger, and Olivia Clark gradually faded from my heart. Within just a month, I almost completely forgot about her. She didn't contact me again, and I only heard from friends that it seemed like something had gone wrong with the company. She was so busy she could barely sleep, her rest broken into pieces, until one morning, as I was preparing to leave the house. I opened the door, only to see Olivia Clark standing in front of me, her face streaked with tears, blocking my way. Her makeup was perfect, but now it was smeared with slap marks and streaks of tears. Her left cheek was swollen, and her eyes occasionally shifted to the left. I followed her gaze and saw Julian Rhodes standing a short distance away. She covered her left cheek and, with a tearful voice, said, "Caleb, please come back. I really need you right now. Please come back to me." I didn't answer her. I simply looked toward Julian Rhodes in the distance. It probably wasn't that she needed me, but that their wallets needed my help. A playful smile crept onto my face as I spoke to her. "The last time you appeared at my wedding, I should have warned you not to show up in front of me again. What's the matter? Have you forgotten?" Olivia Clark's face froze with an unnatural fear, her gaze constantly shifting to Julian Rhodes. It was clear that Julian Rhodes had sent her to find me. I lowered my voice to a whisper, just for the two of us to hear. "Did Julian Rhodes send you to find me?" Olivia Clark's eyes filled with excitement, and she nodded frantically. "Is it something with the company?" She quickly spoke up. "Ever since you left the company, our signing volume has plummeted. I had Julian Rhodes temporarily take your position, but not only did he fail to close a deal, he even ruined several previous ones. Even when I tried to intervene, the clients weren't responsive. Other shareholders told me that now it's only you who can help. Caleb, please help me." I looked at her pitiful face, but I felt no sympathy. In fact, I almost wanted to laugh. I had known about the shady things Julian Rhodes had been doing in the company for a while. Julian Rhodes had been dismissive of the company's smaller clients, thinking he was too important and that those small deals didn't matter. His attitude was terrible. The clients were furious, and word quickly spread. Soon, rival companies offered better prices and more attentive service, stealing away a significant portion of our client base. Meanwhile, the factory didn't stop production, and more goods were piled up. But without any buyers, the company's finances plummeted into a deficit. Olivia Clark had been able to manage smaller problems, but this was too big. It had even caught the attention of the board of directors, and no matter how miraculous things seemed, this situation could not be saved unless by me. They knew that. Only I could save them. I feigned concern and said, "All right, seeing as we were together for 5 years, go back for now. I'll make a few calls to some clients and set up meetings. I'll book a flight and head back to the company soon." Olivia Clark's face immediately lit up with surprise. She wanted to grab my hand, but I subtly pulled away, with a look of anticipation in her eyes. I dialed the client's numbers to reassure Olivia Clark. Once I made the calls, both of them seemed satisfied and left. I directly told the clients not to work with the company anymore, suggesting they find someone else. The management was entirely corrupt, and there was no telling when the company would collapse. The clients all agreed, saying they had already heard about the company's problems and were now relieved to hear it directly from me. I told them to stop dreaming and to go look for better options. I continued with my daily life, and under the joint efforts of Chloe Hall and me, the company finally got back on track. The financial reports looked better and better, and the incentive programs for employees worked wonders, increasing motivation. We found more and more free time together. The only trouble we had was the constant pressure from both of our parents to have children, but we still wanted to explore the world. So, one evening, Chloe Hall and I decided to go on a trip. We packed our bags and set off for the places we'd always dreamed of: plateaus, lakesides, snow-capped mountains, highways. I walked with some difficulty, but my heart was full as I explored the world I had longed to see. We left everything behind, our worldly concerns, our past lives, and focused only on the path ahead of us. As for the old company, Julian Rhodes and Olivia Clark, I had long since switched my phone number, and they could no longer reach me. I heard from friends that the company's performance continued to decline, and Julian Rhodes's funds grew scarcer. He even had to take a job just to make ends meet. Olivia Clark, on the other hand, had been beaten by Julian Rhodes's. Her face was scarred, and she was rumored to have been disfigured. She hadn't gone out for a long time, but I no longer cared. I had given her countless chances, but each time she chose Julian Rhodes's. Now the life she was living was her own choice. As for me and Chloe Hall, our choice was simple: to keep walking the path ahead. 3 months later, we completed our planned journey and returned home with a pile of gifts for our parents and friends. As Chloe Hall and I got out of the car and arrived at the doorstep, we found a woman kneeling in front of the door. From her hair and figure, I immediately recognized it was Olivia Clark. She seemed to hear my footsteps and turned her head toward me. When she turned around, I was startled. Her face, once delicate and beautiful, was now covered with burned scars. Even the once sparkling eyes were now hidden beneath the ugliness, only a faint trace of them remaining. Her voice trembled as she said to me, "Caleb, you're back. I'm Olivia Clark." I looked at the ugly figure before me, and even though I had heard about it, seeing it firsthand was still unbelievable. I never thought Julian Rhodes could be so cruel, torturing someone who had once helped him. She didn't get up. Instead, she continued kneeling. Tears poured from the scars on her face as she reached out and grabbed my pant leg, pleading, "Caleb, please, let's get back together." "Okay. I really know I was wrong. Julian Rhodes is a scumbag, and you're the only one who truly cared for me. I was just deceived by Julian Rhodes. I know I was wrong. Please, let's get back together. I'll be good to you." Listening to her hoarse voice, a smile appeared on my face. "You know you were wrong. When I waited for you alone until dawn, you never came to find me. When I was in the hospital, allergic to laundry detergent, my whole body covered in red spots, and struggling to breathe, you never came to find me. When I was falsely accused and criticized by everyone because of Julian Rhodes, you never came to find me. And now you're kneeling here looking for me, after being disfigured by Julian Rhodes. You say you know you were wrong." Tears continued to flow from Olivia Clark's eyes, and she remained silent, not responding. I continued speaking. "Don't think. I don't know what happened at the company. Since I left, the clients have been constantly dropping. The man you loved, Julian Rhodes, is completely useless. All he can do is curse others. He can't do anything right, and all you can do is watch clients leave. Without the clients, the company's finances fell into a deficit. You had to use your own money to cover the gap, accumulating a huge amount of debt, and Julian Rhodes did nothing. If you didn't give him money, he would beat you mercilessly. Now you're penniless and in debt, and you come to me to ask for reconciliation." She looked pitiful now, but who could she blame? In countless choices, she always chose Julian Rhodes. This was the result of her own decisions. I had tried desperately to win back her love, but she always chose him instead. All I could say was, "You may be forgiven by heaven, but self-inflicted suffering cannot be avoided." I no longer listened to her complaints and simply had her taken away. Walking into the house with Chloe Hall, I didn't want to see her anymore. From that day on, Olivia Clark completely disappeared from my life. It wasn't until later, when her company went bankrupt and made the news, that I saw her name again. As for Julian Rhodes's, I had no idea where he went. Before Olivia Clark's company collapsed, he had already run off with all of her money. Now, the entire company's debt was on Olivia Clark's shoulders. No matter how hard she worked, she could never repay the debt in her lifetime. Meanwhile, Julian Rhodes's disappeared without a trace. Completely indifferent to what happened to Olivia Clark. All the promises he had made to her were long gone, thrown away somewhere. As for Chloe Hall, she was pregnant. Our 4 parents fussed over her every day, afraid that anything might go wrong. The businesses under both of our names were now transferred to me, and I became the wealthiest person in Highseeing. Chloe Hall's belly grew larger, and it was clear that her due date was approaching. The whole family was on edge. One day, while I was in a meeting, I suddenly received a message from my parents saying that Chloe Hall's water had broken and she had already entered the operating room. I immediately left the meeting and drove as fast as I could to the hospital. I was anxious as I reached the hospital and was about to enter when a hand reached out and grabbed my clothes. "Caleb, it's me. It's me. Caleb, don't go, please. It's Olivia Clark." Looking at the beggar before me, aside from the slightly familiar voice, I couldn't associate her with the Olivia Clark I once knew. Her face was filthy, disfigured beyond recognition, and she wore flimsy clothes in the dead of winter. "I'm in a hurry. I have something urgent. Please don't stop me." I tried to pull away from Olivia Clark's grasp, but I didn't know where this frail woman found the strength to hold onto my leg so tightly. I had no choice but to ask her, "Olivia Clark, what do you want?" She lowered her head and mumbled, "I just want something to eat. Please, I just want something to eat." Looking at Olivia Clark's face, now almost sunken in, I took out a few bills from my wallet and tossed them on the ground. Along with the bills, a note fell out. Olivia Clark hurriedly picked up the note and money, stuffing them into her clothes. By the time I arrived at the operating room, the doctor, a young woman, had just come out. Both mother and baby were safe. I walked in and held Chloe Hall's hand, seeing her exhausted and covered in sweat. My heart filled with both compassion and sadness. With the help of the hospital and a professional care center, Chloe Hall would soon be able to leave the hospital and we would take our child home to care for them. As our family was about to be discharged from the hospital, a figure suddenly darted past me. I immediately recognized it as Olivia Clark, the one who had grabbed my leg that day, the sharp knife in her hand reflecting the cold light. She was sneaking behind a couple. Not long after the woman left, Olivia Clark pounced on the man. "Olivia Clark, how is it you? How are you not dead yet?" I recognized the voice. It was Julian Rhodes's, but soon, his scream drowned out his surprise. By the time I arrived at the scene, Julian Rhodes's had already been turned into a pile of meat under Olivia Clark's knife. Olivia Clark was acting like a madwoman. Even though Julian Rhodes's was already dead beyond recognition, she continued to stab his corpse. It wasn't until the police arrived and restrained her that her expression finally cleared. She was escorted by the police and stood up, staring at me intensely, but not saying anything else. In a moment of carelessness, Olivia Clark broke free from the police's grip and slammed her head into a stone pillar. I saw her final gaze before she died. Regret, anger, sorrow, and a bit of relief. Perhaps for her, death was indeed a form of release. Chloe Hall walked up and gently patted my shoulder, her forehead resting lightly against my back. "What happened?" The warmth of her back clearly reflected her reliance on me. I turned around and hugged Chloe Hall, my gaze shifting to the child. In my parents' arms, not far away. "It's nothing. Let's go home. My beautiful life had just begun."